Much to everyone's surprise, a judge has just ordered the release of Ghislaine Maxwell grand jury records and scolds the DOJ over treatment of victims. This is getting weird. There's obviously chaos in the Republican Party. Marjorie Taylor Greene retiring. Apparently this rift is over the Epstein files. Donald Trump acting very strangely and handling the whole Epstein thing miserably. And here we go with the breaking news as of this morning from Mediaite. Again, judge orders release of Ghislaine Maxwell grand jury records, scolding DOJ over treatment of victims. They say a federal judge in New York scolded the DOJ over its treatment of victims while ordering the release of grand jury materials tied to Jeffrey Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell. The motion to unlock the files was submitted last month by Attorney General Pam Bondi, who asked the judge to move quickly with a ruling before the deadline imposed by the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Judge Paul Engelmeyer ruled on Tuesday the documents must be unsealed, but not before chastising federal prosecutors for what he described as disregard for the women at the center of the case. Now, this is what's crazy. Everyone thought that Trump was basically saying, fine, let's release the Epstein files because the judge is going to say no, as judges have routinely blocked this from coming out. So why now? Does anyone actually believe we're going to get real answers on this? I certainly don't. I think that what we're going to get, to be completely honest, they've already whitewashed everything. They've gotten rid of the evidence. And now that it's safe, Trump is saying, okay, fine, we'll release the files. They've been given more than enough time to go through and make sure everything's clean. It's all weird, though, because why would they even need to do this in the first place? You had the Epstein issue going back, 6 years now. Trump didn't release it in the first place. Biden came in, didn't release it either. And then Trump comes in and says, we ain't releasing it. Cash and Dan say, nah, Epstein killed himself. None of this adds up. And I can only surmise the truth about what Epstein was doing would be so devastating to the U.S. government. No matter who gets in, Trump, Cash, Dan, Pam, it ain't ever going to be revealed. Probably all the evidence is destroyed. They're going to say Maxwell, serving a 20-year sentence for recruiting and grooming girls for Epstein, did not oppose the move, though her lawyers warned that releasing grand jury files could undermine her efforts to secure a new trial. Victims had urged the court to allow public access while insisting that their identities be protected. Engelmeyer said their concerns regrettably have a basis in fact, citing the DOJ's failure to notify them before pushing for disclosure. DOJ, although paying lip service to Maxwell and Epstein's victims, has not treated them with the solicitude they deserve. He added that prosecutors had misled victims and the public at large by implying the materials were critical to government transparency, even though they would not add to public knowledge. So you mean to tell me Democrats demanding the release of these files, Trump finally saying okay, and the judge is mad. He's mad. It would not add to the public knowledge. The Transparency Act, signing it doesn't do it. So the judge really wanted to block it. Really wanted. But now, this is the pressure you get from the Democrats. Don't get me wrong. I think Trump has handled this miserably. Miserably. They say Trump last month approved a congressional measure forcing the DOJ to release its Epstein files by December 19th, though those do not include grand jury evidence. Judges in Florida and New York are now weighing similar requests to unlock material from previous failed cases against the disgraced financier. And we've got this one from Business Insider. LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman says he learned a lesson from a visit to Epstein's Island. Note to self, Google before going. I ain't buying any of this. Guys, there are dirty goings on. We know there are dirty goings on. I don't have any good answers for you. Why would Trump be acting the way he is? Why would Democrats all of a sudden want to put pressure to release the Epstein files? I think it was a gambit. I think everybody at the highest level is implicated. I think you're going to find CIA, MI5 or 6 or whatever. You're going to find Mossad, probably other countries as well. And it's going to be bad for everyone. But Democrats are basically playing a game of chicken. Okay, Trump wins. He wants to put the kibosh on our plans, the liberal economic order. Okay, let's bring it all down around him. Consider this. Excuse me. Consider The deep state has lost control of the machine. They still have some control. It's not like the war is completely over, but Trump is in control of the machine. At this point, the deep state may be saying, you know what? If Trump is going to wield the sword, we must destroy the sword. They'd prefer it, but they'd also prefer Trump not have it. So this is why the establishment Democrats came out and said, we must release all of these files. Would it be devastating to the intelligence agencies? Probably. And Trump knows it will be bad for the power he seeks to wield. Not that it's a good thing. This has been my theory for a while. I don't know for sure. I also think it's possible that Donald Trump has a lot of friends who are going to be implicated by this. So it's not just the power he wants to wield, but that he wants to control external, outside of government, I should say. So similarly, he wants to control these things. And I wonder if there are some people who think that Trump will be implicated himself. I'm not entirely sure. What is this absurdity? Note to self, Google before going. Excuse me. LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman said he wishes he'd known a little bit more before agreeing to spend a night on Epstein's island. You know what's funny about this is even if he didn't know anything, did he not see anything when he was there? The paintings, the photographs? Come on. We've seen photos from inside the property released by James O'Keefe, and now the Democrats have published many of these. Some of them are very strange. Reid Hoffman didn't notice anything. Huh? Very weird. On the December 1st episode of Eric Newcomer's podcast, Hoffman said that he visited the island as part of a fundraising work for the MIT Foundation and was told the visit would make Epstein more likely to donate to MIT. Note to self, Google before going, Hoffman said on the podcast. He said he stayed on the island for one night. There was a pool and a bunch of guest rooms and a courtyard. Hoffman has maintained that he only interacted with Epstein, whose 29th death while awaiting, okay, we get it, through his work fundraising for the MIT Media Lab. On the Newcomer podcast, he called Epstein a masterful networker and recalled a 2015 dinner he hosted for an MIT researcher in Palo Alto, California. Hoffman said that Joey Ito, former director of the MIT Media Lab, asked him if Epstein could attend the dinner, which was also attended by Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg and Tesla CEO Elon Musk. Similar to his visit to the island, Hoffman said he was later told that the financier had said he was more likely to donate if he attended the dinner. He's kind of going through the network, trying to meet people and so forth, Hoffman said in his podcast. Hoffman also reiterated previous apologies for his involvement with Epstein. And then the political. Trump lashes out. What is this garbage? Ask me anything? Time, AI garbage? Ugh, blocking the page. Trump lashes out at traitor Marjorie Taylor Greene after she made explosive new claims about him. Interesting. Trump issued a scathing response to Marjorie Taylor Greene's new 60-minute interview, during which she offered a withering assessment of Trump and his standing within the Republican Party. Taking to Truth Social on Monday, Trump revived his traitor insult against the Georgia rep, who was once one of the president's most ardent and vocal allies before the public falling out. The only reason Marjorie Traitor Brown, Green turns brown under stress, went bad is that she was jilted by the president of the United States, claimed Trump, adding the lawmaker reminds him of a rotten apple. Marjorie is not America First or MAGA because nobody could have changed her views so fast, and her views are just those of a very dumb person. Greene's interview, which aired on Sunday night, marked her first sit-down with the press since she announced her intent to resign from Congress in January. During her conversation with journalist Leslie Stahl, Greene seemingly questioned the authenticity of the near-full support that Trump has among Republicans in Congress. She argued it would shock people to know that those same Republicans used to mock Trump behind his back. Claiming that the Republicans are now terrified to step out of line lest they become the target of a nasty Truth Social post by Trump, she said, I watched many of my colleagues go from making fun of him, making fun of how he talks, making fun of me constantly for supporting him, to when he won the primary in 2024, they all started kissing his ass and deciding to put on a MAGA hat for the first time. Greene and Trump's relationship fractured when the Georgia lawmaker refused to follow the president's lead over the discourse pertaining to the release of the files connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Although Trump eventually pivoted his standpoint and signed a bill ordering the release of the Epstein files on November 19th, he had initially dismissed calls for the documents to be made public, referring to the matter as a Democratic hoax. I wonder, what was it all for? Honest question. I do think it's fair to point out the COVID lockdowns were largely led by Democratic states. Elderly were killed in nursing homes because COVID patients were placed inside. And bad things. Donald Trump comes in. We all supported him. I only supported him in 2020 at the very last minute when the Democrats opted out of nominating a real candidate and put in Joe Biden. And so here I am defending Trump as Democrats have basically run roughshod over the Constitution. But Trump has now shown, while certain things we think are good, he's mishandled a lot of it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, not perfect, but the coalition is breaking. So where do we go from here? This is interesting. The Trump era ends with the fracturing of this coalition, but there's no Democrat coalition either. Moderate types like myself are never going to go back to the Democratic Party because, I mean, to be fair, the Republican Party ain't faring so well neither. And the Democratic Party's got who? I'm not going to back anybody who's going to put power into Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi, AOC or Rashida Tlaib. So I don't know. Is there going to be a new third party that emerges? People have tried, but there is no unified third party. So ultimately, what then do we get? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But Trump isn't holding up perfectly. It's okay, I guess. It's better than Democrats. And then we have this weird scenario around Epstein and whatever it is going on. We don't trust the machine, and the machine doesn't like us. So I suppose we'll see. Smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know. Stay tuned. More to come. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all in the next segment.